Hey guys, what is up and welcome to my channel. It's a Hardback Life. My name is Jordan and today we're going to be doing a book haul. I'm excited. This is the 6th book haul on my channel and I'll be doing more because I love doing book hauls, but I like doing them like every so often because I gotta gather the books first. And that, for me, I want it to take a while. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? Alright, so the first book I want to talk about is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This is her debut novel, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But this is an adult fantasy about a girl who is supposed to be the heir to a throne, but she gets denied by her father because he feels she is not worthy. And to prove her father wrong, that she is worthy, she decides to take up the forbidden art of bone magic, which I think her family uses. But yeah, so she decides to learn bone magic, and it goes off from there. And I cannot wait to read this because I've heard so many great things. Also because there's not many book series, at least in my opinion that I've read, that talk about bone magic. So, yay, I can't wait to read this. Okay, our next two books are written by my favorite fantasy, YA fantasy author of all time, and that is Cassandra Clare. And the books are Red Scrolls of Magic and The Lost Book of the White. This is a companion series to Mortal Instruments, I believe, because it has Alec and Magnus. And Alec and Magnus are going on vacation in this book, but it turns into work because there is this like cult that was unintentionally created by Magnus, well, as a joke, but these people are a real threat because they are threatening to destroy the human world, I believe, and all other crazy stuff. So Alec and Magnus have to work together and try and stop these people. So we'll see how this goes. Also by Cassandra Clare is Chain of Iron. Now I know this came out 2 months ago, but I'm including it because I love Cassandra Clare and I really want to get to this, but I'm going to read Infernal Devices again first. If you didn't know, this obviously, like I said, is set in the Shadowhunter world, and this series takes place several years after Infernal Devices, which is the prequel series to this. This is basically the children of the main characters in the Infernal Devices. And in this world, demons did not interfere for a long time, and there was peace, but demons have since now interrupted that peace, and they've come back, and they come back stronger. And I don't want to really say anything about that will spoil the first book, but you've got to read the series. Read Infernal Devices first, if I were you, because that gives you a lot of background as for this one, because a lot of things are mentioned in the series from the Infernal Devices. So, yeah, read Infernal Devices first. Alright, the next 3 books I'm going to talk about, I'm very excited for because a lot of my friends on Shelf Space really enjoy this series. And the first book I found actually started off as self-published, and then author Mark Lawrence read the first book and basically got the author of this book series, he was able to help him get recognized by other big publishers. So I'm happy for Mark. I'm happy that Mark Lawrence did that for this author, and that's Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. Okay, the series is called Books of Babble, but the first book is Senlin Ascends. Second book is Arm of the Sphinx, and third book is The Hod King, or is it The Hod King? I don't know. And the fourth and final book, I don't know the title, but if I do find it out, I will put it up on the screen. That book comes out this year. This book series is about a guy named Thomas Senlin who is traveling with his wife, and he loses her in the Tower of Babel, and he's trying to find her in this series. That's all I know. And there's other magical forces at play that try to stop him in his journey. So I'm excited to read these. This is Books of Babble series. Our next book series is going to be a trilogy, as far as I know, and it's called Serpent and Dove, I believe. At least that's the name of the first book. And the second book is called Blood and Honey. And this series is basically a fantasy romance fantasy. And our two main characters are a witch and a witch hunter. And they don't know that each other is a witch or witch hunter. So when they find that out, it makes things a little bit complicated. And they have to figure out how to deal with that, as well as try to evade the people that are chasing after them, from what I believe I've read about. The next book I want to talk about is called Caton Waiting by Becky Albertalli. Becky Albertalli is responsible for Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda and all the books in the Simonverse. And she's also written some books with another author I'm going to talk about in a second here. But Caton Waiting is about a girl named Kate and her best friend Anderson, who are basically in high school and navigating life in high school. And they're both heavily involved in the theater program at their school. And a lot of people that know them would say they are codependent of each other, and they would argue that. But I mean, when you are like with each other a lot, and then you also have a lot of the same things, like same crushes on boys, same for a lot of stuff, it's interesting. And what sets this book off is a distant crush that they both had moves to their school, and things get very complicated between them, more so than before. So the next two books I want to talk about are part of a series called Infinity Sun, I believe it's called. And this is Adam Silvera writing on his own. He writes a lot with Becky Albertalli. And this is about two brothers. One of them has powers and the other one does not. And the crazy thing about this is the brother that wanted powers did not get powers, but the brother who didn't want powers got the powers. Are you tracking with me? So the one that did not, and the one that did not did. Okay. Now I'm confusing myself. Anyway, but yeah, they basically have to deal with that. And because of that happens, they go on opposite sides, and there's some jealousy, and I don't know. There might be betrayal. If there is, I'm gonna be loving this. Alright, you guys, the next one I want to talk about is a divisive book, because when my friends on Shelf Space read it, half of them loved it and the other half absolutely did not. And that is Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is about a boy named Tao who is the leader, who becomes the leader of these people. And I think it's like an African-inspired fantasy, which is awesome. And his main motivation in this book, from what I've heard from my friends, is revenge. And that is one thing that I guess drove a lot of my friends on Shelf Space crazy. But we'll see. I hope I land on the side of people who like this book, because I have to read this book within the next few days. Just in case I don't like it, I can return it. And yeah, get my money back. The next book, you guys, I want to talk about is called Runaway Jury by John Grisham. I love John Grisham. He's written some of my favorite books, like The Associate, A Painted House, which is one of my all-time favorites by him, The Appeal. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. And he's really, obviously from those titles, you could tell he's really big on courtroom like drama and thriller type books. And this book is definitely not shying away from that. This is about a group of jurors who start acting weird because they feel they're being watched. And they might be right about that, because they're also being manipulated. And what's at stake here is the jurors are watching a trial that involves like high selling of tobacco, and there's like $100 million, I think, at stake in the rise of tobacco. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and the jurors are part of those moving pieces, and they're possibly being controlled. So I can't wait to read this. There's also a movie, which I have seen, but it was a long time ago. It stars John Cusack. So I'm really excited to watch that again. Now, those of you that have been watching my channel know that I have been reading this author a lot in the last year. And that author is none other than Sarah J. Maas. This is the 4th book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses installment. This follows Nesta Archeron, not Feyre. The first 3 books and the novella followed Feyre. And this is a romance fantasy, specifically with fairies. And this book deals with the fallout of what happened in the war, the last war they had. And I've already started it. I'm like 340 pages in. I just need to get my butt in gear and finish this. And our Nesta is dealing with a lot of mental health issues in this book. So I'm loving the mental health rep. And I can't wait to finish this. Along with the mental health train, this is the Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Our main character, this is a book where our main character decides to pursue a mystery, which there's money involved, but she possibly ends up losing herself because she's dealing with a lot of mental health issues and stuff like that. I can't wait to read this because again, mental health rep, loving it. And the author John Green also deals with OCD, so writing this book was kind of therapeutic for him in a way, from what I've read in the interviews. And yeah, I love that because I deal with a lot of anxiety issues myself and other things that I don't want to go into, but yeah. The next book I want to talk about is called Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. If you don't know who Victoria Aveyard is, she is responsible for the Red Queen series. And this one is completely different though. This one is marketed as young adult, but from what I've seen on my friends' reviews who gotten ARCs for this book, they said it's marketed as a young adult, but it kind of reads like an adult, which makes me very excited because I love Victoria's writing style. And this is about a girl named Corinne who finds out that she is one of the last in a line of very powerful people. And she is taught basically how to discover her true self by an immortal being and an assassin. And at the same time, she has to stop an evil from threatening her world. Because in this world, there was once a ton of portals, but the portals have been destroyed, or so they thought. There's one or two of them left, and our main antagonist wants to use those portals to bring about destruction to this world. And I'm buddy reading it with two of my friends. One of them being Trinity from Portable Magic. You should go check out her channel. And I cannot wait to read this with my two friends. So, woohoo! I'm going to start this weekend, I think. That's when we're going to read it. We'll see. Alright, you guys. I just realized how many books that I have on here. So there's going to be a part 2 book haul. So stay tuned for that. Also, stay tuned for my Olympic Readathon TBR video. Because Shelf Space, the Discord that I'm a part of, and have been a part of the last several months, and been loving it, they are hosting another readathon. And it's taking place in June, all of June. And the deadline to sign up for it, by the way, is May 24th. So I can provide a link down in the description as to how to sign up for it. Anyway, you guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. And I will be back with more books for part 2 because I realized, like I said, I realized how many books I have, and I was just like, wow, I've got a lot of books, so a part 2 is needed. Anyway, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening, because it is late, and I need to be going to bed, because I work later on. Anyway, you guys, see you later.